Hello, today we're going to be learning slope-intercept form. Okay, you already learned how to do slope, the change in y over the change in x. Now we're going to be doing slope-intercept form. This is super important. You need it next year and in geometry for sure, probably algebra 2, so really pay close attention. By the end of the lesson, you're going to be able to determine the slope and the y-intercept of lines and graph linear equations using those. Okay, so the most important thing is that what slope-intercept form is, it's a form of writing equations. And the form that we use is called y equals mx plus b. Okay, this is pretty standard. Everybody uses it. M stands for the slope, okay? And b is your y-intercept. You always need your equation to look like this to be able to call it slope-intercept form. That means that y needs to be like all by itself on the left. And then you have a coefficient right here in front of the x. That is your slope. And then the number over here is your b, another constant. And that is the y-intercept, meaning that is where it crosses the y-axis. So like you look here, the y-intercept is 1, so it crosses the y-axis at 0, 1. The slope is 2, so that means it goes up, over, or a lot of people call it rise, over, run. It goes up 2, 1, 2, over 1, or you can go 1, 2, down 2, over to the left 1, and then you graph your line. Okay, that's how you use slope-intercept form. So state the slope and the y-intercept of the following graph or line. Okay, this is clearly already in y equals mx plus b form. It doesn't have a plus, it has a minus, but that's okay because you know that adding negative 6 is the same thing as subtracting 6. So our slope is 1/4 and our y-intercept is -6. If we wanted to write that in coordinate form, it would be 0, -6. That's where it crosses the y-axis. Okay, I'd like you to try these on your own in the note check. They're all pretty easy. One thing that might look a little tricky is this one. You don't see a B. That's okay. Imagine if you don't see it, what do you think is there? What do you think that really is? That's pretty obvious when you really start to think about it, okay? And for all of these equations, give us both the slope and the y-intercept. I don't think you'll have too much trouble with that. Sorry, I was coughing. Example 2. State the slope of the y-intercept and the slope, that should say and, the y-intercept of the graph of -4x plus y equals 2. Okay, well, clearly you see that that is not in slope-intercept form. So we need to get it in slope-intercept form. So we need to rewrite it, okay? That just means like juggle it around, shuffle it around. So we see a -4x here. So let me kind of write this over here. Okay, to get rid of that 4x, we need to add 4x to both sides. And then we're left with y equals 4x plus 2. So the slope, m equals 4. The y-intercept is 0, 2. Okay? You try these on your own. You need to get them into slope-intercept form and then list the m and the y-intercept, okay? I'm going to help you a little bit with one thing. Just remember that if you have a positive 6x, you would be minusing 6x from both sides. Let's see what else is tricky. Probably all of these are actually pretty easy. There's nothing too tricky on these. It just has to shuffle them into this y equals mx plus b form. And just don't lose your negatives. Okay, and that's about it. Okay, for example 3, now we're going to go into where we graph using the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, this is super easy actually. A lot of people are like, oh, what do you want me to do here? But you see that the y-intercept is 3, so that means that at 0, 3, it crosses the y-axis, okay? Then we have our slope, -2/3. The top is the change in y, meaning it goes down 2 units. So 1, 2. And then this is the change in x, right 3 units, so it goes right here. Remember that you could also go up, because we know negative equivalent fractions, we can go up to 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We could go up and left too. Okay, same thing. When you make a graph, you kind of always want to have 3 points to make a graph. Okay, try a few on your own. Show your graphs in your notes to your teacher, okay? So you're going to be graphing this one using the slope and the y-intercept. That one's not too tricky. I don't think you'll have any trouble with that. And this one, you might have a little trouble here, okay? You need to get it into y equals mx plus b form. All right. One thing is you cannot have a number in front of the y. So, for example, I'll get you started. You're going to want a minus x off both sides, okay? And then you're going to want to divide. So let's just start there. They'll have negative 2y equals negative x plus 8. Then you need to divide by negative 2. When you do that, you need to divide everything by negative 2 over here. Watch the negatives when you do your slope. And I guess that's it. That's the last thing. One thing I want to mention is that in the note check, they're going to ask you on this you try number 2 and you try number 1. They're going to ask you what kind of slope your graph has. Is it positive, negative, 0, or undefined? So remember, if it goes like up and to the right, that's a positive slope. If it goes like down or left, that would be a negative slope. And if it is got 0 in the denominator, okay, 0 denominator, that means it's undefined. That means there's no change in the x. So the x is always the same. So it's a vertical line. If it's a 0 in the numerator, that means it's a 0 slope. No change in the y value. So it's a horizontal line. Okay, so hopefully that helps you a little bit. If you have any questions, please make sure to ask. Okay, bye for now.